Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. I am very excited to bring out to you one more time a knife from Anton van der Weisthuizen from South Africa. Anton Knives has been showcased on my channel before with another variation of this model, the Boudica, but that Boudica was smaller. It was completely different. This is a new variation that he calls the Angel's Finger. Now, as you saw in the photography, it's dark, it's sleek, it's flat, it's sexy, but there's a lot more to it than just what you're seeing. I'm very excited to get into this, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to go ahead and pop the knife out. I'll show you the packaging very quickly. We'll get into the specifications, and then we're going to get into some size comparisons, and I'm going to tell you what I really, really like about this knife and why I'm so excited about it. So let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. Before I get the zippered pouch opened up, he also does include these very, very soft, I want to call it a microfiber cloth, but it's really not. It's more like a chamois, like you would use to dry your car. You know what I'm talking about? The only reason I don't have it back in here is because it leaves a lot of this, this yellow lint all over the knife. And I've obviously, so you can see it on the pack, on the pouch right here. I've already cleaned off the knife for your benefit for the video, so I didn't want to wrap the knife back in it. Let me go ahead and get that off of here. Okay, so the knife will come in a zippered pouch, as many custom knives do. And inside is going to be his certificate of authenticity. You can pause this if you'd like to read more of it later, but he does hand sign each individual card, and they are dated. His contact information is here on the front, and on the back is a whole mess of writing. You can also pause this if you'd like to read it more in detail as well, but this is all stuff I'm going to be going over in detail anyway. So we'll move that off to the side, and we'll get over straight into the knife. And this knife, I have to tell you, it is breathtaking. There is so much to love about this thing. But what I really need to start with is this. Let's start with this view, because this is what made me fall in love with it, is seeing how the inlays are completely flush with the body of the titanium frame. That was the main thing that did it for me. I already knew that I loved the Boudica. I love this model. I really like Anton's knives. But to see the way that he did these inlays is what just nailed it home for me. So let me lay this down very quickly here, and we'll talk about the knife. We'll talk about Anton, and let me see if I can move one of my studio lights here where you can see. There we go. You can see the highlights of the colors a little bit better. All right, so what we're looking at here is again the Boudica. This is the variation is called the Angel's Finger, which is the all black variation with or without these inlays. By the way, he does offer this model without the inlays. He calls this variation the triple pocket. So you have 1, 2, 3 pockets that are milled into the frame that he then puts these inlays into. This particular inlay variation is the black Damascus. So we have the 3 pockets with the black Damascus, as well as the pivot collars. Oops, let's just throw the knife everywhere, as well as the pocket clip. So the triple pocket variation is the one we're talking about here today. He will have some of these with him at Blade Show in Atlanta coming up in, I guess it's about 2 weeks from the time I'm recording this. Table 38B, and I'll put that down here on the screen. Table 38B at Blade Show. You can find him down there. Now, Anton is from South Africa. He is one of the extremely talented makers who belong to the Knife Makers Guild of South Africa. And the action that I'm showing you here is exactly what you would expect from one of the masters of South African knife making. And, you know, we're talking about guys like Andre Thorburn, Andre Van Heerden, Arukus Blamaris, J.D. Vandervenner, and so on. All of which I've known for years and I've respected for years and have showcased on my channel. Anton has a pretty unique eye for creating tactical style knives with a dark but elegant flair using exotic materials. And they somehow bring out kind of a fun attitude. I don't know how to really properly describe that, but his knives tend to have a flair for something a little bit more fun in the designs. It's really hard to put into words, but yeah, his knives are almost always kind of fun. Anyway, I promised you specs. Let's get to that. I'm going to move the knife off to the side, right over here, so I could put all the specs right over here. Starting with the frame, we're looking at 6AL4V. It is a titanium frame lock. Overall length of 8 inches. The blade length is 3.5 inches. This particular variation is RWL34, which is a steel that I absolutely love. It's a reverse tanto style and a flat grind. It is using ceramic IKBS bearings. Close length is 4.5 inches. He's using a black ceramic coating over the steel and over the titanium. The inlays, as I mentioned, are black Damascus. The pocket clip is black Damascus, and the back spacer is black Damascus. Now let's get to the weight. A lot of you guys like to know how much things weigh. Let's go ahead and close that up. And the weight is 4.5 ounces. And that's going to put it in the general range of a lot of the titanium frame locks and bolster locks that I like to carry. This is 5.3 ounces on my Varga Knives VBR. Something a little bit smaller, my EMP EDC Nimble, 3.7 ounces. Something that you just seen me very recently review that I'm still truly madly in love with is going to be significantly lighter at 3.4 ounces due to a lot of pocketing that has been machined out of the frame. So let's get some size comparisons here. We'll put the Boudica in the center. Let's see what the Varga Knives VBR, how that compares. Put them butt to butt as all things in the world should be. And you see, even though it's a 3.5 inch blade, just like the VBR, with the longer handle, it does come out to be a little bit bigger. If we bring them blade to blade, you see the blades of the same handle is a little bit longer. Bring it back butt to butt. And we'll bring this beauty out right here. This is the Tasca 2 by R&H Knives. Virtually identical in all dimensions, overall length. And the blade length is just a little bit longer, but the overall length is just about the same. And then we'll bring out the EMP EDC Nimble, which is going to be smaller in every respect. And there you have it. So we'll get everything else off the table and just focus solely. Oh, God, that action. The action on this is truly ridiculous. The detent is a super sharp, nice, strong detent. And the action with the ceramic IKBS is so fast and so smooth, it's almost impossible to get your thumb out of the way once you've unlocked the lock bar. It's utterly ridiculous. I tried to capture it in my photography, but let's see if we can get it here on camera, here on video. I love the hand-done texture that he's done here on the flipper tab. It's as effective as jimping without putting just a bunch of lines on there. It's a really cool texture. So, I mean, you can tell that you're dealing with a handmade knife. I love this so much. It actually feels wonderful. It feels unique. And it gives you a good amount of grip that really you need on this flipper tab because of the strength of that detent. Now, he doesn't list the material for the detent, but if he's doing ceramic balls for the IKBS, I'm going to assume it's a ceramic detent as well. Oh, man, that is incredible. Now, Anton offers the Boudica in this model in a couple of different sizes. If you go back to my original Boudica video, which I will link. If you watch this video to the very end, a card is going to pop up that you can click. It will take you to my previous Boudica video. That was a smaller knife. So he offers the Boudica in a couple of different sizes, this being the larger size, which I very much prefer. I really like this larger 8-inch size a lot. He also offers a number of different blade shapes. This is the reverse tanto, which I really, really, really like. And he also works with a wide variety of materials. He tends to make a lot of the knives that, you know, besides what you custom ordered, the ones that he chooses to make with his own material choices, he tends to go pretty exotic. So he'll build with materials like Damasteel, Damascus, blue dragon skin Damascus, things like that. Then on top of those options, you can order this model in either a regular, you know, normal flipper, or you can get a front flipper, you know, if you chew with your mouth open. If you're that kind of person that you enjoy front flippers, he does those too. Now, the thing with black Damascus is, I don't know if you can, yeah, we can see it if we get the camera to focus. You see like these black swirls that run through the colored areas. So black Damascus contains a lot of zirconium in the forged alloy of titaniums, and it brings out that black contrast. So you've got a different look to it than regular Damascus or Mokutai. So you've got the bright, vivid colors once you've heated up the alloys of titanium, and then the blackness of the zirconium. That also makes it more hazardous of a material to work with as well, because zirconium, when you're grinding it, when you're cutting it, the chips that fly off are significantly hotter. The sparks are brighter, they're hotter, they stay hot longer, and they can catch fire much, much, much more easily. So not a lot of makers are big fans of working with it, and you know, it's very easy to understand why. Here's the finish of the black ceramic coating on the blade. It's got a nice texture to it. I love things with texture. I mean, obviously we like smooth finishes as well, but as a photographer, I have an affinity for textures. I like textures in things sometimes, and it looks really good. I like the fact that he has his maker's mark done there in gold. It's etched in gold. Kind of fancy schmancy and dressy. There's your pivot collar over a flat pivot. Oops, guess I'm spitting all over my knife here. There's the flat pivot collar, which I really like flat pivot collars. It's such an attractive look. There's the pivot, flat pivot head. Then you have the pivot collar going around it. There's your first of the 3 pocketed inlays. Inlay number 2, inlay number 3. And you can really see the bevel that runs around the perimeter all the way around the frame, which keeps this comfortable in the hand, eliminates any hot spots. We'll get back here to the small back spacer, which is also black Damascus. Show you how the blade fits in here. Perfectly centered as you would expect. And then black Damascus for the pocket clip. And then once again, another pivot collar. Really excellently done. He's using some sort of red grease. Not familiar with what that is in there on the IKBS. Now, obviously, being bearings, you don't need any sort of lubrication. But when you're building a knife with loose bearings, the easiest way to do it is by using some sort of grease, because you can actually use that to keep the bearings together. And you can take it and you can pick up the individual bearings by having the grease on them. They'll stick to your finger or stick to your little dabber stick that you might be using, and you can kind of place it into the track one by one. They are also not rolling all around your workbench. That's a lot of the reason why you'll see makers putting some grease in there when they're making their IKBS knives. Overall, what do I think of the knife? I got to tell you, I've never really touched a knife that Anton makes that I would ever have any complaints about whatsoever. He is a wonderfully gifted knife maker. When you're spending this kind of money, because again, in the triple pocket, you're spending $975. It's a lot of money. You're spending $1,000. Now, again, as I've mentioned in all of my previous videos about South African knife makers, the US dollar is so strong against the rand that we're paying a really low price in comparison. If this knife were made by a United States knife maker, this would be configured exactly like this, conservatively $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. So at $975, I look at this as a relative bargain because of what it would cost made by anybody domestically. But I feel, you're spending a premium amount of money. You need a premium product, and I've never felt one of his knives that was anything short of premium. His build quality is fantastic. Like the fitment of his inlays is just perfect, seamless, beautifully done. They look good. They feel good. They are just properly done. The action, as I've mentioned so much, is flawless. His cutting edge is ridiculously scary sharp. The design of the knife is fantastic, in my opinion, and that, opinions are going to vary. That's a very personal type of thing. Do you like a reverse tanto? If not, check out his other blade styles. You may prefer those more. I love the handle design. I like how it feels in the hand, especially in this larger size. It suits my larger hands much more than the smaller size Boudica did. Overall, I love everything about the knife. I even like the blade cutout. I'm not always a big blade cutout guy. It works with this blade shape. I think it looks fantastic. Would I tell people buy this knife as opposed to other custom knives in this price range? Absolutely. Because to get these exotic materials in a knife that's built this well, with an action this amazing, you can't do it. Not in this price range. You just can't find it because other makers are going to charge more money. If you were looking at this model going, you know what, I think it's nice, I can't afford $975. But you know what, I don't particularly need the inlays. Maybe I just want a pivot collar. Boom, so you order one without the inlays, just get the pivot collar. You'll save, I don't want to ballpark it, I don't even want to guess. You're going to save a lot of money by not having, number one, the machine work and the time that it takes to cut those pockets, to cut those components, and then fit, because all those little parts still have to be hand filed and hand sanded to fit just perfectly in there. And then the expense of that expensive black Damascus. So you'll save a lot of money by not getting the inlays and just having maybe the pivot collar, or not doing any inlays, or mixing and matching, maybe getting a double pocket, or not getting the pivot collar. Whatever it is, the combination you decide on to fit your budget. You could be in the range of what you would spend on a mid-tech knife made by someone else, maybe in that $650, $700 range, and you could have a full custom from Anton, and that's a big deal. It really is nice to have a custom-made knife, especially one that isn't going to be replicated in all of your friends' collections. Because you know what? The second I saw Anton post the very first one of these, I went, wow, that's breathtaking, and it's unlike anything else I have. And then I waited And I wait, and he showed another one. And then he showed another one. And I finally messaged him. I'm like, Anton, this is... I mean, he knows I love his work. And he knows I respect him as a knife maker. But I went, this is something else. This is a whole other level. And it's so gorgeous. So when I looked at it more and more, and he started posting videos of them and started announcing that he's going to start making them available, it was irresistible. And I know at least a couple of you are looking at this saying the exact same thing. How can I say no? How can I not have that in my collection? Because I have nothing else like it in my collection. And you got to do the black. You got to do the all black up against these beautiful colors because it makes them pop even more. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh yeah, baby. And once you feel his action, I mean, there is zero friction. Absolutely zero friction. Once you feel his actions, I promise you, you're going to end up owning multiple knives by Anton. They're just something else. Anyway, them's my thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll show you something very quickly here, just as we sign off. I'm sorry I can't show you more, but the very next video you see from me is going to be on these long-awaited avian knives atlases. That's the very next video I'm uploading. I'm going to do a little sneak peek. Then I'm going to do an unboxing. Then I'm going to do a full review. Oh, I can't wait. It is a game changer, a life changer. And I don't say that lightly. So get ready for it, boys and girls. We're going to have one hell of a week coming up. And I'll see you guys on those videos.